And staying at the Vatican, 70 cardinals, along with more than 300 priests and bishops, concelebrated the closing mass of the Synod on Synodality. It took place inside of St. Peter's Basilica and its newly refurbished canopy. Pope Francis led the faithful in a unique and special veneration of the relic of the chair of St. Peter. Public veneration will be available until December 8th. Some worried about the results of the Synod, Cardinal Kurt Loch, prefect of the office that promotes Christian unity, shared this with our team reporting from the Vatican.
We make the clear difference between decision making and decision-taking. And in the process of decision-making, all people of the Church must be participated and included in this process, but the decision-taking is the responsibility and authority of the Bishop and of the Bishop of Rome.
And for further insight, we are joined now by Dr. Matthew Bunson, Editorial Director for EWTN News and one of the hosts of our daily coverage last week. Matthew, great to be with you today. You've covered the two Synod sessions in Rome. What were the major takeaways of the past 2 years?
Yeah, well, the reality is that we've been talking about the last 2 years, October of last year, October of this year. Really, this is a 3-year process that Pope Francis launched in 2021, and now we are seeing the culmination of it in this final report that Pope Francis has taken as his own. It's a reminder, too, that synods are supposed to be consultative bodies. They are not, as Pope Francis very famously said, parliaments. So one of the things that this particular synod was asked to do was to focus on the Church being truly synodal. The final report, then, very much reflects that more tightened focus that was given to it by Pope Francis. It covers a variety of topics, certainly that have been in the discussion since 2021 and even beyond that. And those include, for example, heightened lay participation in the life of the Church, including some forms of decision-making, perhaps processes of decentralization as it relates to authority in making decisions in the Church, perhaps heightened powers for episcopal conferences. And one of the more controversial areas throughout this whole process, although much of it has been shifted away from the actual deliberations of the Synod, was a question of women deacons, or women and the diaconal ministries. It does find its way into this text, but we'll have to see as this moves forward what all of that looks like.
Yeah, and the final document was received by the Holy Father and then immediately published as is. And here are his words on that.
I do not intend to publish an apostolic exhortation. What we have approved is sufficient. This is why I am making it immediately available to everyone. It is the reason I said that it should be published.
Oh, Matthew, how is this a new direction for a Synod's closing document?
Yeah, well, first, as Pope, he can do anything he wants with the final report. But there was kind of a menu that he could choose from in terms of what exactly to do with this report. There was the assumption for a long time that he would write an apostolic exhortation. In other words, he would take this final report, reflect on it, and then write a document. He could perhaps have simply received it and done nothing with it, which is what Pope Paul VI did for the first couple of synods before he actually began writing these exhortations himself. That other option, however, was the one that Pope Francis chose, and that was to make it his own, to attach his name to it, to approve it, and then publish it, at which point, as the terms of his own reform of the Synod, and according to church law, it basically now has much heightened weight, attaching itself to his so-called papal magisterium. Now, the organizers of the Synod were very clear on Saturday that this final report is not, as they put it, normative. In other words, this isn't going to be a set of rules that will be immediately applied to the Church. Rather, they went back and made the case that this is really a set of guiding principles for the Church. And in that light, I think Pope Francis is sending a very important message to the Church. Here he had these deliberations at the Synod on synodality. He took this document he can say that he listened to the church, he listened to the participants, and he made it his own. In other words, he turned this final report into an exercise on synodality, and I think he's trying to send that as a message or even as a set of role model for the rest of the Universal Church.
Well, Dr. Bunson, thank you as always. Always appreciate it, and great coverage out there in Rome.
Thank you very much. Let's keep praying for the Holy Father.